Hey, what's happening, family? It's your man, Mark Black. You know what time it is. If you haven't gotten your cup, links in the description there to order you one. Also, there's links in the description to provide some support, remuneration for your brother if you like his work. Please make sure to do that. It's appreciated, definitely helpful. Also, before I continue, I want to thank everybody yesterday during Morning Joe for the well wishes, the happy birthday wishes to my son, one of the lights of my life, Bug. Y'all had me cracking up, and I definitely appreciate the love that you showed your little brother, and I'm certain that that he couldn't be more loved by y'all, than I do. That made me feel really good, and I appreciate you for it. I want to talk about something today that I woke up with this morning on my heart. So I know it's important for me to kind of talk about and address. I want to talk about the threat that we identifying as the American descendants of slavery pose, not just to America, but to everyone in the world. But before I go there, I need to tell you about the idea of the permanent stranger, right? The permanent wanderer, right? The nomad. A nomadic people are a group of people that don't have a settled place. And believe it or not, before the advent of the agricultural revolution and so on and so forth, most human groupings on this planet were nomadic, right? Some were a combination of, nomad and settlers, people who settled in one place. They would sometimes settle in one place for a while, harvest the resources there, and then travel to a new place, right? But most groups were nomadic. They had resources all over the planet. Our population wasn't huge as a species, so they were able to kind of utilize the resources in one place. And when things started getting a little sparse, a little scarce, they were able to go somewhere else, set up shop and scavenge, right? They were able to forage and scavenge and utilize the resources of a new area. But with the advent of the agricultural revolution, where people started growing staple crops like wheat, like barley, like millet, corn, and so on and so forth, these staple food crops, primarily carbohydrate based, and were able to set aside food and store it for long-term storage, that kind of changed the game. More people started to settle in one place. And of course, settling in one place means that you have to have resources brought to you, right? Cities themselves are inherently unsustainable because they all require the input of external resources. A city can't live off the land it sits on for the most part, right? Not without massive injections of infrastructure change and so on and so forth. But that's a side issue. With the advent of settled groups of people, the creation of cities, and then those tying of those cities into states and nations and things like that, there's always been a group of people that have been distrusted, that have been looked at with disdain, with disrespect, maltreated, right? And that is the outsider. You have a group of people like the Romani, right? Known as the Gypsies. They experience quite a bit of the same type of experience that we do here as ADOS, because the Romani have traveled nomadically all over countries in Europe, right? So they pass anti-Romani laws all over Europe, whether you're a Romani living in Poland or you're a Romani living in Lithuania or a Romani in Great Britain or wherever the Romani go, because of their wandering, nomadic, permanent stranger status, everybody can steal from them, abuse them, misuse them, and they essentially get treated as a people with no rights. They get stereotyped as thieves, as lazy folk, as no goods. Sound familiar? So that ties me into why ADOS is a real threat to not just America, but to the world. You see, part of how America has been able to keep us disenfranchised, taking away our power, taking away our resources, is because we've been kept sort of as the permanent outsider class in America. Think about this. We are, in the realest sense, the only American group in America. Not even the natives can claim to be Americans. They are natives to this land, but they are native peoples. They have their own sovereignty, their own land base, albeit the leftovers of the leavings that the white settlers and immigrants and colonists left them after robbing them of most of it. Okay. Those same white folks who try to claim America is theirs, they still have heritage that hails back to Europe, to the countries and the nation states and the cities of Europe, right? Every other group that comes to America has another flag that they can wave. We, the American descendants of slavery, are the only ones who are the melting pot. We came from various ethnic groups, nation states, cultures, and so on and so forth. And through the crucible of slavery, had our individual identities that were tied to those groups wiped away from us. The vast majority of us that are here still descend from slaves that were bred here, right here in the good old United States of America. We always have been American. Those of you who accuse us of embracing this right-wing idea of nativism or whatever the case may be, you're actually telling on yourself, because you're admitting that we're as American as anybody has a right to claim to be. How can you be nativist if you're not native to a particular area? This term nativist has been primarily thrown at white Americans who shout America, 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 without nobody ever thinking about the disingenuousness of their claim. They're American because they live here, but they're of, great British or English descent, French descent, Spanish descent, Polish descent, and so on and so forth. There's only one group of people that are uniquely American, who have the right to claim to be American, and that is the American descendants of slavery. And that is the real threat that we pose to not just America, but to the rest of the world. As the nomad, as the African American, as the Negro, the colored, right? As the nigger, we have always been the permanent outsider. That, of course, is by design, because just like the Romani, everybody can do to us what they will. They can come take from us what they will. But as we identify with America, as we say, no, we are not wandering strangers. We are not nomads. We have a homeland, and this is it. We become a threat to everybody. I want you to understand the real danger you pose. The real reason why they are threatened by you and I, because we are no longer saying that we are without a place. We are a unique people with a homeland, just like everybody else. That's all I wanted to say on it, family. It's your man, Mark Black. Be on the lookout for Sucker Free Saturday. And until then, love, peace, prosperity, and power to our people.